welcome to this special edition and the special coverage coming your way from Nile TV International regarding the latest developments in the region and the latest standoff that took place in the Strait of Hormuz between the American and the Iranian warships, as well as the visit that was paid by His Excellency President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi to the United Arab Emirates and the Sultanate of Oman in the past 24 hours to be sending messages of solidarity and support from Egypt and the Egyptians to our brothers in the Gulf, and to be shedding more light on those important topics that took place for today and yesterday. I'm honored to be having with me over the phone Mr. Zakaria Osman, the managing editor of Al Ahram newspaper. Thank you very much for being with us tonight, Mr. Zakaria.
Very nice to be with you.
Mr. Zakaria, as we did see today, the attacks that took place between the Iranian and the American missile ships breaching the ceasefire according to the statements of both the Iranian and the American officials. How would you comment on this breach, and do you think that this could be endangering the long-term truce between both nations in the Middle East?
Yes, actually, let me say that the truce or the ceasefire between both sides seems to be very fragile, and we have a very hard or critical time, and really the positions in the Middle East are deteriorating, and there are many key regional players like Egypt, Pakistan, Saudi Arabia, and Turkey are trying always to play a role to reach a peace agreement between U.S. and Iran. But let me say that the shootout between both sides is not is not permissible. I'm sorry, it's not optimistic, because as I have previously said, the whole situation is deteriorating, and the key regional players, especially Egypt, is trying always to contain the whole situation. But actually, what happened yesterday and today between both sides foreshadows severe repercussions, because both sides, actually the fragile truce was about to come to an end until President Donald Trump has officially announced that today that the truce between both sides is still standing, or is still persisting. So what I want to say is, completely away from the field, the battlefield between both sides, I'd like to shed light analytically on the political recent developments between both sides. This has sent a new proposal to Iran via the Pakistani mediator. Really, Iran has received it,
yes.
and Iran has officially, and Iran has said officially that it is right now reviewing it, and it is supposed to give its response by it immediate after finishing reviewing it.
This is the latest American proposal to be ending the conflict. There is a review by the Iranian authorities for it.
Of course. Yes. Actually, not only do the Middle East region countries wait such a peace agreement to end the dispute between both sides, between the US and Iran, but the whole countries as well, because everybody knows that the international, the global water passage, the Strait of Hormuz represents or is considered very important and vital for the supply chains, especially for the oil transportation from the Middle East countries to the rest of the world. So the whole countries are looking forward to see such an agreement be signed between both sides, between U.S. and Iran via Pakistani mediation. But actually, what I want to say is, or what I want to focus on is the Egyptian non-stop efforts in this regard is because our vice president is exerting his own utmost efforts, and the Egyptian Foreign Minister Dr. Badr Abdulati is doing his best as well. Via non-stop phone calls that he carries every day.
Yes.
Under direct instructions from the president, in order to keep in touch with all parts to encourage and to push all the countries to work on pushing the concerned parts, MDS and Iran, to reach an agreement in order to end this war between both sides.
Mr. Zakaria Osman, as you mentioned that there are proposals on the table from the American side to Iran regarding the future end for the conflict. How do you see the future navigation of the ships through the Strait of Hormuz regarding those proposals? How do you think this will be managed by Iran, and of course in the benefit of the United States according to this proposal, and the nuclear project for Iran? How do you think this will be dealt with as well according to the proposal?
Yes, actually these accurate details is going to be discussed once the negotiations between, or the negotiatory process between US and Iran takes place again in Islamabad. The second Islamabad round of negotiations between both sides. So what I want to say is the nuclear file is regarded or considered as a main part or a main point within every negotiatory round between both sides, at least from the U.S. perspective or from the U.S. point of view. But Iran has a completely different view, which is Iran wants to delay discussing the nuclear file or the nuclear program file later on. And Iran wants to open navigation at the Strait of Hormuz area for lifting sanctions on it and ending the U.S. military naval blockade on it as well. But actually, the U.S. president insists on reaching an agreement first before ending or before putting an end to the U.S. naval blockade against Iran. So what I want to say is there's like an impasse between both sides.
Yes.
So the international key players, namely Egypt, Pakistan, Saudi Arabia, and Turkey, have to continue pushing both parts to be more flexible in their views or in their viewpoints, especially regarding the mechanisms of how to reach the common divisors and how to build on it, instead of deepening the points of difference between them, because the whole world is right now suffering from an energy price crisis that every citizen in each country suffers from. So the future of the dispute is conditioned with a breakthrough in the negotiatory process between both sides, I mean between U.S. and Iran, which is expected to take place in Pakistan, and we all wish that both parts will take into their own consideration the wise voices, especially the Egyptian one, which is always paid but by our great and wise president, Mr. Fattah al-Sisi, in this regard.
Yes, as you mentioned, Mr. Zakaria Osman, the wise leadership of His Excellency President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi for the whole situation during the conflict that began in the month of February, and the visits that were paid by President al-Sisi previously to Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, Qatar and Bahrain, and yesterday more specifically meeting with the Emirati President Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan in Abu Dhabi, the visit that took place to the United Arab Emirates, and then meeting with the Sultan of Oman, Haytham bin Tariq. How would you assess such a visit or couple of visits at this critical timing, especially after the attacks that took place in the past week against Emirati installations both in the Strait of Hormuz and in the United Arab Emirates by the Iranian authorities?
Yes, actually, our foreign policy is completely and basically based on neutrality, objectivity, and transparency. But even the non-intervention in the other countries' internal affairs. But actually, when the matter belongs to an assault on an Arab country, Gulf and non-Gulf, the Egyptian political leadership, our great and wise President Fattah al-Sisi has to move in such a situation. That's why, and because and everybody knows that the Egyptian president is trying always to keen on enhancing and maintaining the Egyptian Gulf ties or relationships. That's why he paid a visit yesterday to, that's why he paid a foreign trip to certain Gulf countries, namely the United Arab Emirates and the Sultan of Oman. Actually, let me shed light on the very warm welcome that Mr. President Fattah al-Sisi received yesterday in the United Arab Emirates, where citizens and families gathered together to meet him. This indicates the deep ties between both countries and the basic role that Egypt and its political leadership play in the Middle East region. Anyway, the Egyptian, the main reason behind our president's visit to the United Arab Emirates yesterday is to convey a certain message to all, which is the Gulf national security is an indivisible part of the Egyptian national one.
Yes.
And this is a very clear message that our president wants to convey practically to the whole world yesterday by his own foreign trip that he paid to the United Arab Emirates and to the Sultan of Oman. But anyway, let me say that the visit also included discussing the bilateral relationships and the whole situation. In addition to the recent developments of the Iran war and the navigation at the Strait of Hormuz, and many, in addition to many other issues of public importance between both sides. Actually, both leaders, President Fattah al-Sisi and the Emirate President Mohammed bin Zayed held discussions yesterday, and I think that this discussion focused completely on how these two countries are extremely close to each other, and how they are working for the Arab interest.
Yes, and speaking about the bilateral relations between Egypt and the brotherly countries such as you mentioned, Oman, the United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Bahrain, and the countries that President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi himself had paid visits to during this conflict and during the attacks by Iran against the GCC installations and infrastructure facilities. How would you assess the bilateral relations between Egypt and the Gulf Cooperation Council countries during this conflict, and how do you see the future of those bilateral relations after the messages of support sent by President Sisi himself, as he mentioned by Dr. Badr Abdul Aati, by the Egyptian people to their brothers in the GCC countries?
Yes, actually, let me mention again what I have previously said at an episode of the Daily Debate, which is screened by your channel. When I said that the Egyptian president has already paid a Gulf trip at a very critical time, and his flight track was jeopardized at that time. But he wanted to convey a very certain message to the whole world.
Yes.
That Egypt as a peace country. Egypt is always sponsoring the peace between all over the world, not only in the Middle East region. But actually, he wanted to convey a very certain and specific message, which is Egypt is always keeping and appreciating the Gulf countries, and
yes,
is always keeping its national security. And as I have previously said, the Egyptian president maintains always and underscores that the Egyptian national security is an indivisible part. The Gulf national security is an indivisible part of the Egyptian national one. So that's why he paid a Gulf trip to the GCC,
yes,
to the Gulf Cooperation countries, to the Gulf Cooperation Council member states, namely Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Bahrain, Kuwait, Emirates, and the Sultan of Oman. He never accepted any Gulf country at that time. And actually, everybody knows the key and the main role that Egypt plays and maintaining and enhancing the Gulf national security. That's why the Egyptian Foreign Ministry has officially today condemned the Iranian assaults against the Arab Emirates. And let me say that this is the very clear Egyptian situation toward its Gulf brothers. Egypt will never forgive or tolerate any assaults against the Gulf countries, because we are all united. We are all we have the same dreams, and we have the same future. So the Egyptian president. So when the Egyptian president once paid a foreign trip to the two Gulf countries today, his own visit to these two countries never means that he neglected the other Gulf countries. But actually, I think there is a certain reason behind paying a visit to these two countries, but actually the Egyptian ties with all its other Gulf countries are the same. Let me say that the Egyptian-Saudi Arabian relations are reached the highest level, and Egypt is trying always to keep in touch with each Gulf country separately, and Egypt is always working with all the Gulf countries like each other. So the future of the Egyptian Gulf, Gulf ties is very promising. And we want everybody to know that. Just to conclude or to sum up my speech, the Egyptian national security is always keeping, or is always focusing on keeping the Gulf national security as well.
Yes, and finally, Mr. Zakaria Osman, as you mentioned, that Egypt is a major player in the region, in the Middle East. And speaking about the visits that took place for the past 24 hours by President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, tomorrow we're expecting to be inaugurating the Senghor University in Burj Al Arab in Alexandria in the presence of the French President Emmanuel Macron alongside President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi in Alexandria. What does this say about the security, the stability, the development of bilateral ties between Egypt and the European countries and Egypt and the African countries on another level all at once?
Yes, actually, the Egyptian-European ties are very deep, especially the Egyptian-French one. And everybody knows that there is a very certain chemistry between our great president Abdel Fattah al-Sisi and his own French counterpart, yes, Emmanuel Macron. But let me say that tomorrow, Alex City, especially Burj Al Arab City, will witness a very certain event. I mean, the inauguration of the First International University for the African Development, and everybody knows that Egypt as a very key player as well, is a very in its African continent. That's why Egypt is always keen on deepening the Egyptian African relations from one hand, and the Egyptian and the African European relations on the other hand. So actually, what is President Fattah al-Sisi is supposed to receive his own French counterpart tomorrow to share the inauguration of such French International University for the African Development together, and to convey a certain message to everyone, which is the Egyptian-European relationships, or the Egyptian relationship with each EU member state is very deep. I think that the meeting between both countries, between both leaders, will never be confined to such an event, but they are supposed to discuss various issues of common importance, for most among them the bilateral relations and the role that France plays in deepening the Egyptian EU ties, in addition also to the recent developments, because yes, everybody knows that the EU member states are severely suffering from a very sharp energy crisis because of the war, because of the Iran war. So France is always trying yes, to urge Iran to reopen navigation at the Strait of Hormuz, and I think that such an issue will be a common divisor of discussion between both leaders. I mean, between President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi and his own French counterpart, Emmanuel Macron. But actually, yes, everybody knows as well that there are many other issues that will be discussed as well during this meeting, because there are many joint common divisors or common denominators between Egypt and or public interests between both countries. For example, the anti-terrorism the anti-terrorism file, the combating immigration, because everybody knows that Egypt is playing a very important and vital role in banning the illegal immigration to the European member states, even from the south of from the South Mediterranean to its north countries. So all these issues will be discussed tomorrow, and I think that the visit will be a point of concentration from all the world, and everybody or every country will pay attention to it tomorrow, and this indicates that Egypt is a great country, and it is a key regional player. That's why that's why every great leader, like the French president and many others, pays or makes their way to Egypt just to maintain that Egypt is a key regional player.
Yes, Mr. Zakaria Osman, the Managing Editor-in-Chief of Al Ahram newspaper, thank you very much for being with us tonight on Nile TV International. And this brings us to the end of this special coverage. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.